She spent years building other people's brands in corporate marketing. Then she walked away to build something far more personal, a business that helps couples find their way back to each other. Welcome to The Scene Live, the show where we dig into what it really takes to build a business you're proud of and be seen for the work that you do. I'm your host, Kim Speed, brand clarity coach and founder of Purple Moon Creative. And every week I sit down with an entrepreneur who has something real to share, not the highlight reel, but the actual lessons from building something from the ground up. Today is no exception. My guest spent years in corporate digital marketing before she made the leap to build a coaching practice around something deeply personal, helping couples rebuild intimacy and connection. She's moved her business to Europe and built a practice that runs entirely remote. And before we bring her on, if you are new here, hit subscribe and give this video a like so you won't miss the next conversation next week. So my guest today is Irene Fehr, and she is a sexless marriage recovery and intimacy coach, helping heterosexual couples make love and sex work for the long haul, including reigniting passion in sexless or disconnected relationships. Her work is built on simple, radical truth, passion that doesn't fade because couples get older or more comfortable. It fades when they stop knowing how to truly meet each other. And through private coaching and her signature pathways, Irene helps couples and individuals rediscover intimacy, communicate openly, and choose each other again and again. Her perspective has been featured in Huffington Post, Cosmopolitan, Shape, Refinery 29, Scary Mommy, Elite Daily, and Bustle. So please help me welcome Irene Fehr to the stage. Welcome, Irene. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
This is wonderful, and I do appreciate it. I know it's a little bit late for you there, and I am so grateful and appreciative that you are spending the time with us to share. So, Irene, take us back to the beginning. You spent years building a career in corporate. What was the moment or the slow build that you told yourself it was time to leave and build something of your own?
Yeah, it was very much a slow build, and it was very much a reveal for myself. I did not grow up thinking I would be a sex and intimacy coach. I would not think that this would be my focus and my passion. And I, along my life, I followed a lot of paths where I did what I wanted to do. I studied philosophy in undergrad and graduate school. I did want to be in marketing, and I sought out internships and then jobs to do that. But I was also, in a way, driven by a desire that wasn't my own necessarily. It was, first of all, building a career wasn't necessarily a desire of my own, but everyone was doing it. It was expected of me. And so I followed that path. But I also knew that very early on that there's something about the corporate life that just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I was very good at what I did. I did corporate marketing, writing, editing, which I love. I love writing. I'm writing finishing up a book of my own right now. So I was doing what I loved, but I also didn't feel like I could use 100% of me. You know, I felt like I was using 5-10% of my capacities, intelligence, or my problem-solving abilities, or my people skills in the corporate world or in the setting that I was in. And so there was always this kind of a disconnect and unhappiness. A sense of like, hey, this is not exactly what I want. This is not exactly the thing that fulfills me. And then through a series of events, one of which was my own marriage, which ended up being a sexless marriage because I lost my interest in sex, like many women do, to then going through a divorce, to then having several going through several jobs, that it all kind of started to scream at me, like these experiences, like, you're something is off here. You're not living the life that you want. You're unhappy, but it's not because of the
Yeah.
external things, but something was really missing on the inside. And I had a terrible couple of years after my divorce, and finally hit rock bottom where, again, I felt like something was off, and I hit a place of having depression, which is not something that I easily fall into, but like I didn't want to eat, I didn't want to get up, and it was my dog that motivated me to do something because he needed attention every day.
Right.
Led me to take
Thank
time off.
goodness.
He really saved my life at the time because he literally pulled me out of bed. Um, and I stumbled upon a women's retreat, coaching retreat. I was living in San Francisco at the time. This was just in the San Francisco headlands for just one night, but it was 2 days, one night of coaches doing mini workshops to
Right.
help find fulfillment. And for the first time in my life, during that weekend, I was asked the question, Irene, what do you want? What do you want for your life? What do you want for
Right.
your career? What do you want for your relationships? Because before, I was driven by what I should have, what I should want, what is the right thing to do for a person in my position, whatever that means, right? I was driven by all these external influences. And during
Right.
that weekend, I was asked again this question over and over that, first of all, I've never heard of. I never heard those words put together in one sentence. And I didn't know the answer to that. I couldn't answer such a seemingly simple question because I wasn't trained. I didn't have a muscle. And that was
That's
the
so
starting.
interesting. Like it's so easy for especially women to ignore themselves and
Point.
do what they think they're supposed to do.
Hmm. Yeah. And thinking that some other people, our parents, other authority figures, influencers, that
Yeah.
they know what's right for us. So it's always looking for that answer externally.
Right.
But that was the biggest cause for my unhappiness, for that sense of disappointment and depression, because I wasn't following my own life. And
But it's
so,
interesting that you didn't realize it. Like you were depressed, but you didn't realize why.
exactly. Exactly. I didn't realize why at all. And I mean, I knew that my career had something to do with it. I was also looking at maybe moving to South America to teach or to work for a nonprofit. And I thought that was going to solve it because I was at least getting closer to something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of looking for answers, like stabbing in the dark. Oh, maybe it's that, or maybe it's that, maybe it's that. I still wasn't listening to my inner self. I
Right.
was just kind of trying these things. And after that weekend, really, this was for me kind of a before that weekend part of my life and after that weekend, because I remember even driving home and there were like more colors around me than I was used to seeing.
Oh, wow.
Came alive. And that led me to on a led that excuse me that led me on a path of exploration, self-exploration, of really answering that question, what do I want in all these different areas: career, relationships, intimacy, and leading my life from within. And it's kind of when it was the point when magic started to happen in my life, that synchronicities started to show up, that I would meet the right people who would lead me to the next thing that I needed to learn, or to the next area that I needed to focus on, or to the next opportunity that I needed to take.
Yeah.
And I started doing coaching trainings. I started doing all different programs for myself to get to know myself, to kind of get out of the comfort zone and experience things differently, both just generally and with intimacy, with relationships. And a couple of years in, I remember I couldn't go to work anymore. I could not go to work because it was like I would be alive doing all these things. Like I had started coaching on the side. I would be alive in the sessions. I would be alive thinking about these things. And I would go to the office and everything would just get smothered, all that
Oh,
energy.
yeah.
And I realized too that this was so clear for me. Like if I came to work on a Monday with, let's say, 100% of energy, by Monday night I had 80% left. By Tuesday night I had 60% left. By Wednesday night, on and on. That by the end of the week I had drained all my energy.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I was started doing the coaching work and doing it because not because even like I was passionate about it, because I'm a natural coach. I was born a natural coach. I just
Yeah.
didn't know that. Um, that I would start on Monday with 100%, and then I working with a couple of clients. By Monday night, I would be 120%, because
Wow.
the work really fed me and uplifted me, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. What a return on investment. And
Yeah.
and that at some point I was just like I couldn't do it anymore, and so I left my job with no plan of how I was going to build my business or how I'm going to find clients or what my business is going to be. But I followed that deep kind of knowing and understanding of myself. I couldn't do it anymore. So,
That's incredible. So, and I have to say, I'm a little bit similar. I didn't have a plan either, and I don't recommend it. But how did that transition happen? What was it like for you to actually leave corporate and be doing your own business? What were some of the things that surprised you, or what were some of the things that were easier than you thought?
well, first of all, what surprised me was how hard it was, because I think there's when we have a safety net of a job, from one side that limits us because we are not willing to take risks. But from the other side, of course, it's a safety net. It gives you some sense of like, okay, if I fail, then I have something to fall back on. But once I left the corporate job, I was absolutely willing to take more risks. But at the end of the day, there was also like, oh, what if this is not going to work? What am I going to do? What if the savings run out? And the
Yeah.
savings run out.
But
So
isn't it funny that when you do go out on your own, all of a sudden you do things that you would have never done before?
yeah, yeah, it lights a fire under your butt and kind of gets you to do things because, yeah, you don't have that safety net.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was, I remember the first couple of years, and this is now almost 15 years ago. The first couple of years were really tough because uh, of this up and down. Like I would take a risk and I would feel very proud of myself, and I'd be like, wow, this is new territory that I've never been in. And then again, there would be the sleepless nights of, oh my God, what's going to happen if this doesn't
Yeah.
work? How am I going to
Oh
recover?
my gosh, every entrepreneur has gone through that, right? Oh,
Exactly.
those that stomach, that's feeling in your stomach.
And that roller coaster, I mean, it's like thrilling, and then you get nausea. And it's thrilling, and
Yeah.
then you get nausea.
It's so exciting. Why do we do this? But so you figured it out, obviously. And I have to ask you, when you first started coaching, were you doing this type of coaching, the marriage and sexless marriage coaching, or did that evolve?
Yes and no. So that is something that I absolutely was clear on, that that's what I wanted to do, and not the sexless part, but the sex and intimacy part.
Right.
I was very clear that that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to work particularly on this issue of women losing their libido in a marriage, because I went through that, and I also realized why, and I wanted to help couples who were, or at least in the beginning, women who were in the same situation. But I was also terrified of leaving the corporate world and kind kind of losing those connections, losing the corporate connections. So in the beginning, I thought, well, why not do both? Why not do this kind of leadership coaching within the network that I know, and
Right.
do this other thing. And so, like, I remember there were weeks where I would be doing both, and I would have a workshop on sex and intimacy where I would only talk about this side of my life. And I remember, like, I was on a panel at Walmart talking about women in business and confidence, and no one knew about the other part. So I
Oh,
had
really? Oh, wow.
lives because it made sense. I was driven by fear. Like, if I really go fully into sex and intimacy, I'm going to be disowned, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a LinkedIn network, which was for my corporate career. And so I was doing both, but honestly, it was mentally draining, and it was absolutely counterproductive, because one side didn't know that I was doing the other stuff. The other side didn't know I was doing the corporate stuff. I wasn't known for anything specific.
Right.
I was literally running two businesses, and neither of them was successful because I wasn't an expert in any of them.
Right. Right.
And that backfired. And that was really like the first couple of years where I was running through my savings. I wasn't really creating a business at all. And
You were just creating stress.
I was creating stress, exactly. And along the way, I got very sick. I had what kind of now is more known because there's long COVID. I had long Epstein-Barr virus.
Oh, my goodness.
It's mono that you get at 16, except at 16 it takes you out for a month. At 26 it takes you out for 3 months, and in your 40s it takes you out, or actually in your 30s, it takes you out for 3 years. So I had long COVID-like symptoms for about 2.5 years, and then I started to recover. And during that time, I had a lot of time to think, and kind of I don't want to exaggerate that I was on my deathbed, but I was in this kind of brain fog, this kind of I couldn't think straight. I didn't have enough energy to go through the day. I mean, I could go through like 2-3 hours a day of regular life, and then I had to rest, and I really had to think about, like, what do I want to do with my precious 3 hours of life every day?
Right. Right.
And that was when I decided, you know what, I got to do this. And I, took the plunge, and I kind of came out and announced myself as a sex and intimacy coach focusing on women's libido in a long-term relationship. And it was also the time when I wrote an article in the Huffington Post called "What I Learned from My Sexless Marriage." And that took off like wildfire.
Wow. Wow.
And it was syndicated in something like 13 countries. I got called by journalists and reporters, and that launched my business. But again, it was a huge risk internally. But like I said, if the question is, what am I going to do with my precious 3 hours of life every day? That's what I wanted to do, and it paid off. That was
It's so interesting that you say that, because I talk to so many of my clients about sharing their why, their reason that they're doing what they're doing, and letting people in. And it's not always easy, and I'm sure it wasn't easy for you to just blah and then think about who's going to see this. And there's some people you want to really see it, and then there's other people that maybe not so much. but look at what happened. Amazing things, because you opened up, because you know what? It probably helped a lot of people.
It was honestly, it was just such a miraculous story, because I published this article and I had no attachment to its success or anything. And I woke up the next morning and my inbox had blown up.
Wow.
And exactly that. I got messages from hundreds, if not thousands, of women saying, you wrote what I've been feeling, that I didn't have the words to say. You touched me. You woke something up in me. I got to do this for myself too. And that was so.
I'm getting goosebumps just hearing that. I love this.
Yeah. And it was first of all, for me, of course, so reaffirming, But
Yeah.
second of all, it's the power of when we talk about our story, when we share not just the events, but like how it touched us or what's the deeper emotional meaning, and it gives permission for others to feel, to kind of wake into their feelings, to do something about it, all sorts of things, to talk
Yeah.
about it.
To talk about it, to even think that it's something that could be changed, even.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I was starting out before, right now there's so many sex and intimacy coaches, and a lot of them are vocal on Instagram, on LinkedIn, everywhere. But when I was starting out, I left my corporate job 13 years ago. So there was no one doing this. There was no one speaking up on this. So it was an even bigger risk to speak up on this topic because I was honestly the only one. And I was the only one at the time to focus specifically on a sexless marriage and on sexual desire in a marriage, because mostly the focus was on uh, date nights or having fun or toys or kink or opening your marriage, but no one was talking about this topic that's so critical to so many people, and not just in the US but across the world, because now I work with couples all around the world, and there may be different cultural differences, but at the core the same dynamics exist, the same questions exist, the same frustrations exist, and it's a global question that we're all trying to answer. How do we make love and sex work in the long term?
Yeah.
Beyond,
And is this normal?
yeah, it's normal, absolutely. And if anything, we're trying to do relationships in the way that no one has done relationships for the entirety of the human race. We're trying to build a relationship on commonality, on emotional connection, on sexual connection, on connection around interests. That's a lot of different things. And it's possible. I'm not one to say, you can't do that. Absolutely you can. But it requires more than the skills that we've learned from our predecessors who've built relationships based on security needs, kind of passing on the family values or things like that, or for procreation. We have to learn new skills to create the kind of relationship that we want.
Well, and it's sort of interesting too. I think about, um, you know, if we're living longer and we're staying with somebody for a longer period of time, there's obviously going to be changes in a relationship. And I just thought of this now as you're talking, so I thought that's really interesting. So I'm sure there's many people that could use help a little bit. But I'm wondering if people do you find it hard to find people that will be comfortable talking about it or admitting it?
Well, yes, surely. That's definitely my experience. For example, when I introduced myself at a public event,
Yeah.
there, people kind of like the room goes silent. What are you going to say? Like, people are scared to out themselves, whether they think it's great and sex is great, whether they think sex is
Right.
great or they're having trouble. It's kind of like whatever side you're on, you don't want to out yourself in that. I remember
Right.
at one event, and I introduced myself, and there was one man in the group. He was like, "Yeah, this is awesome," and his wife, she looked at him. I mean, that was a look of like, I will kill you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Speaks to a lot of couples' experience of not wanting to even broach the topic publicly. And also, if you're having trouble in the relationship, for example, I heard this so much from our men in our men's group. I hold a men's group for men coping with a sexless marriage, and they've said many times over that they don't have anyone to talk to about their struggle, because the people that they know also know their wives.
Oh, yes.
So then it becomes like they're sharing something, but not as a secret, but they're not. The wives are not privy to that share.
Yeah,
So
that's not fair.
it's not fair, and it can malalign someone. And so what ends up being is that couples, including myself when I was married, that uh, couples end up being so isolated,
Mm,
so isolated because they can't share it. And of course, if they share it, a lot of the times people don't know what to say to it. They don't know how to respond. And so everyone holds it into
yeah,
themselves and carries this weight. And so when they get a chance to experience a safe space where they can start to open up and share, wow, it just pours out. That's what I see in our men's groups. That's what I see in my couples, is that again, when there's kind of the safety of the container,
right.
the privacy, but also just, someone moderating the conversation, not letting
Yeah,
them get into their old cycles of, he said, she said, but who really listens, then it's just, they feel such relief. They open up, and they feel that relief. And that's what I see when couples come to me in the consultation sessions. I offer a free 1 hour consultation, and just even then, there's just such a transformation of, wow, we're not carrying this alone.
wow.
But a
That's
lot of
wonderful.
couples wait till a long, long time to reach out,
Right, right.
way too long,
Hmm.
sometimes when they're on the brink of splitting up.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
Unfortunate.
Then it's probably takes longer to get it back together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this is so fascinating, but I can't not ask you about some of the other things about your business. One of the things is you moved your business to Europe and you run it fully remote, correct?
Yes, correct.
So, what did that move actually require? How are you doing it and how do you enjoy it?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with the enjoyment part. I enjoy it very much. I've always wanted to live in Europe, and to enjoy the kind of cultural and lifestyles that Europe allows. So that
Yeah.
was another dream that I achieved, and you know. A lot of it kind of naturally led me there. I wanted to move to Europe, 20, 30 years ago. But being a corporate, it was very difficult. You had to really, the short answer is very, very difficult. So it
Right.
kind of fell out of the realm of possibilities for me. But with my business already being completely remote for the last 10 or so years, it didn't matter where I worked.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. And the way I was primarily getting clients for the first 7 of the last 10 years, since the article coming out and all that,
Oh,
was that
right.
um, uh, I was getting it primarily through SEO. I was number one in search when search was still being used before
Yes.
AI. And so clients were flowing, and so through search, through the online vehicles, and I was able to again decide where I wanted to live. And I was a bit nomadic within the United States before I left, and then yeah, I just made the move. I packed up my life in 2 months and left first for the Netherlands. I spent 4 years in the Netherlands, which I
Wow.
absolutely loved, and I have been in France for the last 3.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds like idyllic. Now, how, like, you can't just up and go, I presume. What did it require you to do to be able to do that?
Well, leaving was very easy. You can
Okay.
you can pack up.
It was, okay.
Leaving was very easy, but certainly going to a country can be challenging depending on the country. So you have to get a working visa. Um,
Yeah, that's what I meant. All
yeah,
that.
first it's a visa
Right.
uh, that has either 1 year or 2 year visa, and you have to prove a certain level of income and how you get that income, so that you are arriving not to take a job from a local, but you're arriving with your own job and with your own means. And setting up a business can take some steps, and I had hired people to help me both in the Netherlands and in France, because just to save time and energy so that I can focus on
Yeah.
my business.
Yeah.
But generally, it was relatively easy. The Netherlands being so incredibly efficient that things just happen in a snap. France, not so much. If you consider
They take
18th
more time.
century efficient, 18th century methods efficient. Yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock after the Netherlands to move to France, but generally it was fairly easy to set things up, to get things going. And on the US side, for my clients, I'm very upfront about where I live and the time zone differences. And of course, at first I thought, oh, it's going to be a challenge. However, how am I ever going to sign up clients with a time difference? But you know what? It worked out. I work with a lot of couples who have children who are in school, and they love to do sessions at 5, 6 in the morning before the kids,
Oh, wow.
which is perfect for me,
Yeah.
being 6, 7, 8, or 9 hours ahead of the US.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I work with English speakers, so that also means the UK. That also means Australia, and I have had a lot of clients, including right now in Australia. And of course, there's English speakers everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's fascinating that you've been able to have such a global clientele. Like, it sounds like an amazing business. I want to talk a little bit about what we were talking about before we got on the call together, and that is just a little bit more of a work-life balance that you've been able to achieve. Let's just, talk about that for a minute. What is, or how is it different now that you're living in Europe compared to a corporate job in America?
Well, so different. And the big thing is the whole energy piece that I mentioned earlier, that just even day to day, and I don't know if Europe necessarily has something to do with it, but running your own business, you're in charge of your life, you're in charge of your energy. And in the beginning, it was a mess. I was working with clients all over. I would work with clients at 8 in the morning and then 8 at night, and I would have nothing in between, which was a disaster. Or I would work and like do a little bit of everything 7 days a week, and that didn't work. But as I got more experience and started to really ask the question, what do I want? What kind of life do I want to live? It became a lot easier to set boundaries and to just set times. These are the times when I'm available. Or, for example, with the vacations, I'm right now on vacation. I've taken the entire month of August off. Is setting expectations with clients. This is what's going to happen. The way I work in general is that I empower my clients with tools to eventually no longer need me. And so I prepare them for the times that I'm off to take care of things that they need, that come up for them. And we also have ways that we stay in touch over vacations. So I don't just, abandon everyone for a month. But at the same time, again, it's just that this kind of permission to say, this is what I need to be the best possible coach, mentor, advisor, supporter for you for the remaining 10 months of the year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
set that expectation, prepare them, and then take off and really take off. And this is the big difference between Europe and North America, and certainly corporate, is that generally when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And plus, and I'm able to recharge so that when I get back to my clients, I'm just like rearing to go, because I'm full of energy, because I've refilled that. And I, essentially teach that to my clients. Whatever you do in your relationship, you want to come from full. You want to come
Yeah.
from having restored, replenished, and supported. And that takes discipline. Living on
Yeah.
full takes discipline. And I love that Europe supports that.
I
Supports
think
that.
it's amazing, and I think North America needs to change its ways and have at least have more time off. Um, so, for the entrepreneur who is listening that might be building something deeply personal as well, the way that you have, what's one thing you would tell them about protecting their own relationships while they build?
In what sense protecting their relationships? I want to be clear that I understood the question.
Well, just because we were talking about work-life balance, and when you talked about you were immersing yourself into work and you were trying to figure it out, how can somebody else learn from what you had to go through?
Well, maybe that's what you just said. The last piece is the answer, is that you have to learn through it. You have to go through it and you have
Yeah.
to learn from it. I did a lot of failing and I ended up doing a lot of learning. Just from the beginning, it was trying, like, what is the saying, throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. That I was trying anything and everything. And I started to kind of, as a funnel, started to narrow down, this stuff doesn't work. This stuff I hate doing. This is what's working. Out of this, what's working better and better and better. And
Yeah.
so, I love referencing the 80-20 rule. It's with experience that I got to understand which 20% of the things that I do make the 80% of results, what makes the biggest difference. Because before I was focusing on so much, and it was 80% that was causing 20% of results.
Right,
Now,
right.
again, through experience. And that's what I want to say, is just get out and do things, experience,
Yeah.
experiment, do things, and learn about what your boundaries are. What is it that you want? How you want your life balance to be? Do you want to, for example, some people would love to work on weekends because then during the week they can be, I don't know, with their kids
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean, we have all these different dynamics, but figure out what works for you,
Right,
um,
right.
and do it by listening to yourself.
Yes, I love that. Now, I have to ask, um, you're a coach. You obviously believe in coaching. Now, do you get coaching yourself?
Absolutely. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Absolutely. It's even though I, I have the tools that I teach others and I see their blind spots, the thing is I don't see mine.
Yes.
And my coaches are the blind spot checkers who
Yeah.
help me get out of maybe not the same binds as my clients, but certainly binds in my own life where I don't know what's happening, or I keep repeating patterns that I can't get unstuck from, or to answer questions. So absolutely, it's having a support network of my own is critical. And from a business perspective, from my own mental health perspective, to relationship coaching. Yeah,
Yeah.
I again, I am as human as everyone else, and I need help with those blind spots.
It's so funny too, because I always say I would never hire a coach that doesn't have a coach.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I just feel like it's important that people hear that. It's not a weakness to need somebody, it's a strength to know that you do. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I have one more question for you. If you were looking back at the version of yourself that was in the hardest part of your journey, but had the knowledge that you have now, and you could tell yourself, give yourself advice, what would you tell yourself back then that would help you get through it?
I think what I really needed to hear at the time was that you're in the right path. I knew that, but I wasn't getting that externally, not from
Yeah.
a lot of sources. except, either the coaching training that I was doing or the fellow coaches that were going through the same thing. But from a lot of my peer network, my family, it was hard because they were seeing kind of the hard moment. They weren't seeing on the inside of me and all the
Yeah.
motivation driving it.
Yeah.
They were only seeing the suffering on the outside. Oh, maybe you should go back to corporate, or maybe you should do this, or maybe you should tailor your message to be more safe and this and that. And what I really needed to hear more is, no, keep going. Like this is hard and it's okay. Like, you're on the
Yeah.
right path.
I
And
love that. It's hard, but it's okay. It's
you
and
got
it's
this.
going to be hard, and that's the truth.
Truth. Absolutely.
Yeah. I love this. This has been such a great conversation. I could go on, and I would love to have you back again, and talk some more about what you do, as well as how it's going, and talk a little bit more about working remotely as well, and that whole work-life balance. But how could, if people want to learn more about what you do, how can people get hold of you?
Yep, I've definitely increased more of my presence on LinkedIn and YouTube, but my primary source of information is my website. So I have a resource center, a sexless marriage resource center, rather a sexless marriage recovery resource center,
Right.
with about hundreds of articles focusing on rebuilding connection and recovering and rekindling intimacy. And of course, that's the best way to get in touch with me as well, the website. I'm
Excellent. So
also,
I put your website up, irenefehr.com. And then, as Irene said, she's on LinkedIn as well. Are you on other social media at all?
YouTube as well. I have a YouTube channel. Yep. Which is
Excellent.
Ignited Woman, which was a handle that I created way back in the beginning versions of my business. Lots of informative videos on this topic.
So we'll
And then,
definitely make sure that we have all that available for you to check out, Irene. And then, if you want to reach out and connect with her on LinkedIn as well, I'm sure that Irene would be happy to have a conversation with you. I know that you do consultations for your clients that are struggling with the sexless marriage. So if you want to talk privately to Irene, reach out. So,
absolutely.
so thank you so much, Irene, for joining me and sharing all of this information about building your brand, about building your business, and what you do. It's so needed. Coaching is so needed, but this niche is, I think, something that more and more people need to have conversations about. So I really appreciate that. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week in The Scene Live. Take care for now. Bye-bye.
Bye.